Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Jake. Today we're going to talk about the common transmission problems for the 1999 to 2007 GMC Sierra or Chevy Silverado. These trucks came equipped with the 4L60E transmission if they were a half-ton, or if you were lucky enough to get a heavy half-ton or a 3/4 ton, you will have the 4L80E transmission, and this video is not for you. Those transmissions are a lot more reliable. They do have their shared problems, of course, but they are way better than the 4L60. In this video, I'd like to show you the common steps to prevent a lot of the issues with the 4L60E, as well as a lot of the ways to diagnose what's going on with your 4L60E. Some of the most common 4L60E problems I see are no third, no fourth, no second, no fourth, no first, no fourth, no two, no second, and no third. And then won't move in drive, but will move in first gear. The first one, no third, no fourth, your clutches are completely burned up and you will need a rebuild. The second, no fourth, that is caused by the 2/4 band either collapsing, breaking, something in there is wrong with the 2/4 band, also another very common issue. The other one, no first, no fourth, is typically a solenoid. Those share the same solenoid. No second, no third, again, another solenoid. The last one, if you have, it doesn't move at all, but it moves in first or low gear, you have a rolled sprag. So those are a lot of the common issues that I've seen with the 4L60E. I have seen some where, they have no reverse, or, they don't move at all, or they will make like a pump noise, or like a TC or converter noise. Those are also very common issues, but not as common as the ones I listed before. The first step in any transmission diagnostics is checking the transmission fluid. Every 4L60E has a dipstick, so I'll show you where that is and how we check it. First, you're going to want to have the vehicle running. It doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold. There are two different notches on the transmission dipstick that will show you whether it's cold or hot. So I'll show you where that is. I'm not going to have the truck running just so you can hear, what I'm saying. So right here, you will see a red dipstick. You want to pull that up with the vehicle running and on level ground. You're going to want to pull this dipstick out, clean your dipstick, then replace it. So a couple things to measure here. Here is cold. Right here at the top, it'll actually say cold. And then you've got your first notch and your second notch. You want to be in between these cross hatches right here if you are, at driving temperature, which if your transmission, you've been driving it for a while, it should be hot. So it should be right in here. If you're over this, you're going to have some leaks. If you're not even on the stick, you're at least 2 quarts low. Once you check the fluid, that's going to tell you a lot of the things you need to know. What color and condition is the fluid? A normal 4L60E can be a little red-brown. Obviously, you want it to be full. If it is not full, start there and start adding fluid. See if that fixes your issue. If it is just charcoal black and it smells burnt, you'll know because it is just a horrible smell. Your transmission is toast. It's pretty common for them to burn up the 3/4 clutches, and that clutch material is just disgusting. The smell of it, you're going to know right away that there's something terribly wrong. If your transmission fluid is low, the next step is to see where that fluid is going. There are several different common places for these transmissions to leak. The most common and what I've seen is the cooler lines. They will actually be right here on the passenger side. There will be cooler lines coming right here into the radiator. And it actually has a separate cooler on some as well. But you'll see it right here on the passenger side. If you look down on this part of the engine, you can also see them from the bottom. They are common to leak at the crimp where the rubber meets the metal. And it kind of blows back on the line, so you're not going to see it on like the driveway or the garage floor most times. Sometimes you can. There's also a cover right there, so it typically doesn't hit the ground. The next place these are common to leak is the pan. Just over time it'll leak there. Shift shaft seal is another one. That is where your shifter goes. Cooler lines at the transmission also leak when there's a little O-ring that goes into the side of the case. Those are very common to leak as well. If you're low on fluid and you see no leaks at all, if you have a 4-wheel drive model, they are also common to leak at the transmission output seal to the transfer case. What this will do will actually overfill the T-case and underfill the transmission. So you'll want to take the fill plug on your T-case off, and if that shoots out of there, it's a good indication that your transmission is way over full. Because it's pretty hard to overfill a transfer case. It is possible through the vent, but it's pretty hard and pretty uncommon. So if that's the case, your transmission is leaking at that, and the T-case will need to be removed, that seal will need to be replaced, and that'll solve a lot of your issues of the leak. The other major killer I see of these 4L60E transmissions is not actually what you think. It has nothing to do with the transmission in a sense. It is actually a sensor on the engine. And what that sensor is a mass airflow sensor, also known as the MAF sensor. What this does on the 1999 to 2004 or 5 model is this actually controls the pressure in the transmission. You won't know anything about this happening. I've seen some rare cases where it will set a P0101 code, MAF out of range, or P0102 MAF circuit. One thing in common with these is you'll start noticing very soft shifts, especially under heavy throttle. And why that is because this sensor is the whole reason that transmission pressure goes up. So if you give it full throttle, and this sensor is only telling the transmission, hey, he's only giving it 10% throttle, the pressure ain't going to be there. You're going to burn up your 3/4 clutches real quick. It's very, very common for these sensors to just start giving weird readings, especially if dirt gets in there. I've seen K&N filters, especially out of the box, they're good, but people don't know how much oil to add, and they will over add oil, or they'll just stick it in there wet, and it'll really mess with that sensor. So I don't recommend K&N filters on anything fuel injected, especially with the mass airflow sensor for that reason. Unless you have a snap-on or a really good sensor reader and able to read grams per second or engine load or throttle percentage, there's really no way for you to test these sensors accurately. Some way I've gotten able to do this without a sensor is I will actually unplug this sensor, and if my shifts get better and firmer, you know right away that that sensor is not reading correctly. And the reason that is because when you unplug that, the transmission will actually call for max pressure. So you're going to have some pretty rough shifts, but then you know right away, okay, it's because of the mass airflow sensor not telling the transmission what it really needs. So that's one of the major killers of these transmissions. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions at all, please comment below. I will try to get to every comment I can. If you have any kind of problems with your 4L60E transmission, I'd like to lend my hand and my experience to see what I can do to help you and save some money.